Good afternoon. Bit of an interesting one today. It's my first ride in just over 4 weeks since the 27th of December. Since then, 1 second. Since then I was trying to get this Specialized bike sorted for this year. I bought it 12 months ago, longer actually, September 24. It only had 5 charge cycles when I bought it, so I thought great, bike's like new. But later I was to find out that lack of use in the 2 years that the previous owner had the bike was the worst thing for the battery. So on my last ride it was up to 38 charge cycles, so I'd put 33 on, about 1,500 miles. I know, sounds a lot, but I've got the range extender battery. So I took the bike in a couple of weeks ago to Specialized in Chester. Great lads there, I must add. And left it with him, and I came back and they said well, they tried a firmware update. Didn't charge me for any of this, by the way. As I was saying, great lads. And said you've got 2 choices basically. You carry on riding as is, with the only caveat that the battery could die at any point. Although the battery was, the BMS, the battery management system, was doing a bit of a safety job on the cells. I don't feel like it was quite hitting 240 watts, the full power up the hills. I think it was throttling back slightly. Also, and this is the worst one, last autumn, and I don't know if everyone's going to know the route I'm talking about, but okay, I went from Manchester Airport area, went up Brickworks. If you do a left, go towards Kettleshoe, and then I did a right up the very long, not super steep, maybe 10%, but it's a couple of miles long, climb up to Wingather Rocks, down into the Goyt Valley. Then it's a slow climb, and it's a weird one because it's one of them climbs where eco's not enough. Usually you would try and hold off from using sport, but after the 2 previous climbs I chose to use sport. Cruised all the way to the end of the Goyt Valley, and then up to the Cat and Fiddle Road. Instead of going towards Macclesfield, I did a left and went to Buxton. At this point it was late afternoon, and I decided to have a hot chocolate. In fact, it was a mocha made with decaf beans, coffee. Gorgeous drink. Again, coming out of Buxton, going up Long Hill. Not the long way from Whaley Bridge, obviously. But I'd say it's about, I'm guessing here, at least a mile. And again, I needed sport. Then you've got the amazing 4.7 miles downhill to Whaley Bridge. So much fun. And even from there to Disley to the A555 going back towards Manchester Airport, a lot of that was downhill. So I was doing maybe 18, 19 miles an hour. On the A555 I put in eco. And if my memory serves me right, the internal battery wasn't charged to 100% that day, it was at 80. So I started with 130% charge. The range extender ran out on the A555, and I thought, great, I've got 3 bars of the internal battery. I've only got about 8 miles to get home. Well, to my horror, 2/3 of the way down the Manchester Link Road, East Link Road, whatever it's called, I went from 3 bars to 2. I got to 2 bars of internal battery, power cut out. Then I remembered the battery cell imbalance warning in the app did actually warn that power may be cut at an earlier battery level. So there I was, 55 miles in, carrying the range extender, so we're talking about a 17 kilo setup, and my hands are too warm. I need them later, up in the hills. So the last 4 miles or so, lugging this mid-drive bike with range extender, with backpack, with bottle drink, with spare like pump, all the little bits you carry, spare butyl tube. I got home and I was like, I'm not doing that again. So to cut a long story short, I went to Specialized. The great guys there wrote off to their headquarters with all of the information. I was the second owner. And they came back the next day with an email saying they've offered 30% discount. On one hand, you can think that's generous because I'm the second owner. But the way I looked at it was, that bike had done 38 charge cycles. 38 in 3 years. From new, the batteries are warranted for 2 years or 300 charge cycles. So my battery had not even done 15% of what they state you should get. So I doubled down. I asked for the email address of the rider care team, whatever you call them, for Specialized. A little bit of backwards, to and fro in emails. I explained to him, gave him a couple of links to my YouTube channel. Said, look, one of my recent videos was asking the question, and this is coming from a road cyclist. I got this bike more for my son to join me on rides. But can this electric hybrid actually be the best winter training bike you can use? After all this, I hadn't give up hope completely. I got an email back saying, okay, what we can do is we can change the battery, 50% off. Battery costs £550. I would get it for £275. So, brilliant. Booked it in. Went down on Monday. Left it with him, 2 hours, came back, all done. Fresh warranty. And I must say, Specialized, you did really well. You lived up to the high quality brand that we all hope that you are. And I'm not just talking about the quality of bike, I'm talking about customer service and aftercare, top notch. So big thank you. So yeah, it's my first ride in 4 weeks. I was going to take my new bike. I'm not going to talk about that on this video. But I was surprised when I picked up my bike from Specialized, and I did what was only natural and connected it to the Specialized app just to see if it would actually confirm new battery, yeah, and it did. 1 charge cycle. So I thought, 1 charge cycle? What, is that from manufacturer or? And then I looked in the corner of the screen and realised, and I'm not complaining whatsoever, but Specialized, while they were doing the job, must have put the battery on charge. I collected it, bike's at 100%. So today, I would much prefer to be out on my new road bike, which is probably, well, 6 kilos lighter in this. But the last thing I want with this being new, yeah, I've got a 2-year warranty. That doesn't mean I'm going to start not treating it in the most perfect way that I know. I wasn't willing to leave it because, yeah, today's sunny, but for all I know, we could have 2-3 weeks of rain after this. So yeah, I brought this bike out. If I'd brought the bike out just on the internal battery, on the ride that I'm going to send it up, which I'll tell you in a minute, would I get home with the battery in this safe zone? No. I'll probably get home with it needing a top up. Not unless I was really careful of how much assist I was using. So I made the decision last night, after a whole month off the bike, and I don't think you lose that much fitness. Not on the flats like this. I'm doing 16 miles an hour, which is above the cutoff. But, excuse me, I've got a really drippy nose. I'm going to take the bike from here now towards Dean Road, from Hamforth. I'm going to head towards Macclesfield, but then bear left towards Adlington. From there, you've got one 10% climb, a little bit of a downhill, another 10% climb, followed by a bit of a drag at 6-7%, then straight down into Pot Shrigley. You've probably got about 1.5 miles of 5-6%. So I'll probably put in sport to maintain my speed. Then I get to Kickback Coffee, so now you know where I'm going. Then I'm going to stop, have a snack, bit of a stretch of the calves, and then going up Brickworks. So yeah, after a month of no cycling, I'm going up one of the most iconic climbs. It's not the hardest, but you never know, you might have headwinds. And it's challenging no matter what time of year. It's a good little blast. Then I'm going to head towards Reno, towards Blaze Hill. I know that road's still closed, I've looked, but there's access for pedestrians and cyclists right up into sport. What I've done in sport is I've turned peak power up, but turned ease down, and it's strange. I find that better than the 60-60 that Specialized point at. What I find's better for me is put it peak power 80. I know that sounds a lot of support, but turn ease down to 40. So if you go up a bit of a kicker and you don't put in that much effort yourself, you won't get the 80% peak power of 240 watts assistance. So what that does is makes you think to yourself, I want some more assistance. So what you do is, this has got a torque sensor, you put a little bit more power through the pedals, and what it does then is it rewards your effort with more assistance. That is so much better than just spinning up. excuse me. So I'm going to tell you how I have the assistance levels set on this. And bear in mind, that's not to suit my riding, that's to suit, well, he was 17 when the last time we rode it, he's now 18. My 18-year-old boy, who's 6'2", and 58 kilograms, super slim. So, I hear people on Facebook groups that I'm in, where the majority of the owners have the Creos, could even have the carbon fibre models. Fair enough, if your bike weighs 13 kilos, go for it. Turn Eco down, turn Sport down, get extra range. But this bike is the XL frame, because my son's 6'2". I'm slightly under 5 foot. I can ride the bike fine, and in fact, because the stack's slightly higher, it means, for me, I'm so upright, I'm so comfortable. It's a completely different ride to being on a road bike. In fact, I've also ride this a couple of times in a row. Going back on a road bike, I hate it. Then it takes me a couple of rides to get used to the lower riding position. So I tend not to try and ride this too often. So, this bike and the XL frame weighs 16 kilos. With the range extender battery, which is down there, 17 kilos. Maybe 17 and a half with my bike bottle. Frame bag, which has only got a butyl tubing. So the way we set this was Eco 50-50, 50% power, 50% ease. Yeah, if I put in Eco now, we're on 1% incline, and it feels nice. It feels nice. I'm still feeling my quads engaged. It's a 17 kilos bike. So, like I said, Sport, 80% peak power, 40% ease. I like it. I've put it in Sport all the way home, in fact. Once I've been up in the hills, I've been into Macclesfield for a coffee. And almost feels like Smart Assist or an automatic mode. You put it in that, I do it now. So, my speed's slightly increased, but nowhere near as much as it would in the stock settings. So I'm making sure my cadence and power for my legs stayed the same, and it went from 14.8 to 15.2. Very slight increase for going up from essentially 50% power to 80. But because I've got ease turned down, I'll show you, it will only give you the 80% power. I've just put down a tiny bit more effort. Now I'm at 16.7 miles an hour. So it's only giving you that assistance when you ask for it. When you're showing the bike that you're putting down more watts, more effort, more torque. Very clever. Right, so I'm getting away from the busier main roads now. I can even see the hills now in the distance. So, at the moment, what I decided to wear for this ride today. So, said it was going to be sunny in about highs of 8 to 9 degrees, not up in the hills where I live. With a little bit of a chill to the breeze. So I decided to put on cycling shorts, base layer, long sleeve cycling jersey, football shorts, Adidas football shorts over my cycling shorts, right? Last minute I decided to grab out my waterproof pants. They're actually surprisingly breathable, these. And they're like a soft shell. And they've got reflective strips around the ankles. The jacket I've got on is from the same range, but obviously it's fluorescent yellow. What I like about this is, if you're cycling and there's a really cold headwind, it doesn't cut through you and hit your chest. So, after that, here's my next bit of my kit. I was gifted, I say gifted, not as a Christmas present, for feedback, for a review. I was given off a company, and I'm not naming them now. I was gifted some heated socks, which I'm wearing, and these heated gloves. Looking at my bike computer right now, it says it's 8.5 degrees. I've had to turn the gloves off. Because what I did, when I was getting ready, I turned them in the lowest heat mode, left them on my dining room table. I spent 20 minutes faffing, picked up the gloves, and I could feel a bit of warmth from the outside. Put them on, started cycling. 2 miles in, traffic lights, I thought I'm turning them off. I mean, bonus, if it gets cold up in the hills on the way home, I've not used tons of the battery. Although, in eco, it probably lasts the whole ride. I'm more besides. The heated socks, I had the original pair, but then I was given the updated version, and I think they went from 5,000 milliamp battery in each sock to 8,000. So I could probably wear them for 5-6 hours in medium, easy. I think I've got them at, they go up to 70 degrees C. They won't get to 70 degrees C, it's nonsense. I've got them put to 55, and I wouldn't say my feet feel warm. What I would say, feels like your feet do late autumn, late spring, you just feel neutral. I don't think about my feet. They're not cold, they're not warm. Sometimes if I've got out a little bit later on the ride, in the winter, and the sun's setting on the way home, which means the temperatures must start to dip, I turn them up. Then you notice, then you can just notice your toes are nice and cozy. It's weird, because you spend the rest of the year trying to keep cool. I've got my heart rate monitor on, been zipping along, my heart's at 140 beats. I'm comfortable. When I got the bike home from Specialized after changing the battery, I switched it on outside my house. I had to park my car down the road, someone took my spot. So I jumped on the bike and rode to my front gate. Something in my mind thought, hey up, this feels different. So, just past my gate, there's a walk that goes uphill, followed by a road that goes uphill, maybe 200 yards. So I put it in sport, went up the walk. I thought that feels slightly more punchy. I thought when I get home I'll check the app, maybe they've changed the motor maps. Got to the top of the walk, onto the main road. It's about 50 yards of uphill, put into turbo. And I thought, blooming heck. Feels like it's got about an extra 10% kick. So, and I know some people will probably be negative towards asking questions, but typed it all up into AI and said, no, you're likely not imagining it. If you've been riding your bike, and I think off the top of my head, I first got the warning early summer, mid-summer, maybe June, that the battery cell imbalance. Didn't think anything of it, might have been earlier than that. Me and my son enjoyed many 30, 40 mile rides together. Was never a problem for my son. He's only 58 kilos. And we're carrying a range extender as well. So we never dipped to 20% charge and lose the assistance because the BMS was protecting the cells. So, according to AI, what's likely happened is having a new battery means there's no voltage sag. When the motor's calling for the full 250 watts or whatever you've got it set in sport, the battery was able to deliver the full voltage instantly without the BMS throttling back to protect the cells. Not sure if that's true, I don't know. I could tell, but then again, I've not rode the bike for a while and I've been on 2 of my other bikes. I'm not saying it's night and day and all of a sudden it's a Ferrari, but I could just feel a slight difference. It was more the initial surge. That's a better way of putting it. The initial surge of power just felt a little bit more instant. So, effectively today, this battery's on ride number 1. Did I make a mistake buying the bike for £1,000? I'm not quite sure. I did my research at the time, and it seemed to me that the bike seemed to go roughly between £1,400 and £1,600, depending on model and spec. If it was the 5.0 with the Future Shock and SRAM NX, which means they've got more gears, a bigger climbing gear, so I think it's 1x11, they go for a bit more. They're £1,800. So I paid £1,000 for this. It was 2 years old. It had done 100 miles on the clock in the app, 5 charge cycles, which obviously was the worst thing for the battery. But talking to the shop, they said, yeah, but effectively everything else, the chain, the gears, the brakes, more importantly the motor, were practically new. And it's cost me £275 to put a brand new battery in. And a fresh 2-year warranty, don't forget. But that's not the end of that tale, because with this bike, I actually bought the range extender. Some gentleman in Northamptonshire, I think it is, was in the lucky position that he bought himself an S-Works Creo Gen 1, and I don't think he realised, or maybe he did, that Gen 1, because you're paying £10,000–12,000 for the bike, Specialized do actually include the range extender with the bike. But he already had a range extender with his Turbo Levo mountain bike, so he advertised it on eBay. I was the only person who bid. I won it for £100. I thought, not a chance is this seller, excuse me, gonna honour this deal. Well, he did. He messaged me, said, how do you want to pay? Which I had to pay through eBay, because what a guy. He actually gifted the money to charity. The money didn't go to him. So I drove down and collected it. And Strangely enough, no lie, just like the bike I bought for £1,000, when I connected it to the app, it said 5 charge cycles. Luckily, when they asked him, he said he'd owned it a lot less than 2 years. And that was about a year ago. And that range extender is probably on 38, 39 charges soon now. So effectively, I paid £1,100 for the bike and a range extender, £275 for a new battery. So all in all, £1,375. And what did I say earlier? These bikes average 1,400 quid, £1,500. Well, for that sort of money, I got the bike, a battery with 2-year warranty, and the range extender. Oh, and the guy also included the Z cage and cable, which you have to buy separate, so win, win, win. Win-win. Oh, bit of a kicker. Blooming egg. You really do lose that summer snap in your legs. So for a lot of people, the brickworks climb doesn't start officially till Kitback Coffee. In terms of the Garmin, it started back there, closer to Adlington, because, don't know if you can see that, it's a constant uphill pretty much. Well, I've got a bit of a downhill, the top of here. Still got my heated gloves switched off and my hands are still clammy. Brilliant, these gloves. Heated gloves with no power on. Might have to take them off. Oh, now the temperatures have dropped. Peak district wind, in the shade, run off on the road. I'm so glad I didn't come on a road bike now. Especially a brand new bike. You know what it's like a new pair of shoes, bit of spit shine. Oh, bit of a kicker. Blooming egg. You really do lose that summer snap in your legs. I mean, I am wearing multiple layers of clothes. First ride in a month. When I was doing my stretches today, I thought, oh God, my legs are still ripped. But it's going to take a few rides to wake their muscles back up. Here's what it is. It's only like pre-season for footballers. I keep active, not running, no gym, long walks, just an active person in general. Lots of work, active job. So it's not like I've been sat on my behind for a month. And in terms of diet, I've tried to keep on top of that, super healthy. But there's only so much you can do. I normally find, depending on when the weather starts to dry out and improve in the spring or late winter, I normally find by mid-April I'm getting close to getting back to my best. But every year, it's no coincidence, every year, October, November, at the end of a long summer, many miles, is when I usually put down the best times, best power outputs, etc. Could also be that them autumnal rides, temperatures are a little bit more comfortable. You're able to put out the power without reaching for your bottle every 2 seconds. Right, see you on the climb. But you might have to hear me huffing and puffing going up brickworks after not being on a bike for 4 weeks, but I'll share the view. Road closed, eh? I have to remember that, oh, for one day. Getting gear. And the biggest 42 tooth race sprocket. Flattens off a bit now, so put it down to sport. I could keep it in turbo, but by putting it in sport now, if I need that extra boost, when it kicks back up, you feel the benefit. I mean, sport, it's on 7%. I could just keep it this. Wonder if there's any snow up here anywhere. Oh, just went up 10% in sport. Bodes well for anything steeper with turbo in reserve. If you just keep a nice steady cadence on this bike, it's not the most powerfulest motor, but between the rider and the 35 Newton meter mid motor, it get you up most climbs. Not the quickest, the bike's not the lightest, but it does the job. I can see it's going to kick up. I've had it in sport for a while. I think I left my house with 145% charge. The beginning of this climb, I had 104, so I've used about 40%. I'm 13 miles in, 1,200 feet of climbing, and it's winter. Excuse me. In the summer, when your fitness levels are higher and the temperatures are higher, and the battery cells are not affected by the cold as much, you could have 7, 8, 9, 10% extra battery in the tank at the same point. Because I'd be putting out more power, and the battery's more efficient in warm weather. That's why I brought the range extender today. Don't have to think about battery. And this is the biggest climb of the day anyway, so even if I finish it with 90% charge between the two, I'd have about 19 miles to go with 90% battery. Could put it in turbo all the way home if I wanted to. I still wouldn't run out. I remember going up this road for the first time on a non-electric, heavy trek hybrid bike, dual sport. I was younger, I was fitter. But oh my God, me and my brother, we were blowing a gasket going up this road. And I remember trying to take in the views. It was a lovely summer's day. All I could think about was the pain. I also didn't know where the top was, so I was like, let it end. Back down to sport now. I'm only doing 8, 9 miles an hour. But it's 7%. On my new bike, I was doing 12 miles an hour, up an 11% climb. That's for a future video. Maybe up this same climb. Super lightweight bike, super powerful. I find heated gloves, by the way, if you switch them on in your house before you leave, they heat up super toasty. Excuse me. You put them on, and because they're already warm, they maintain that heat if you're out for a few hours. I've also noticed if you switch them off while you're out for a while, and they go cold, you struggle to get warm again. Not going quick through all that water. My word. My word, look at this. And if needs be, a little bit of drip wax, Silka Super Secret. Just put a single drip on each link, on each roller. Leave it for a day or two to cure, and it's like new. My battery consumption today, I've got to admit, surprisingly bad. Although I am asking a lot of the battery in terms of motor maps that I've chose and the amount of sport and turbo that I've used, but it's cold. You alright? There we go, temporary bridge. Oh, why have they put the middle bits on? Ah, here we go. Oh my god. I had my bike in sport mode, only touched the pedal slightly and it shut off. Yep, well, this white bike's not going to be white when I get home. But one thing I did do, I think before last time it went out, it had a ceramic coat. Not a permanent one. It's Auto Glim, the car company, rapid ceramic spray. I find if you spray that on, buff it off, when it comes to you getting home and your bike's mucky, you wipe it down with an old towel and everything just literally falls off. Right, come on, let's give up. Let's give up. You've got the power still. I'm struggling to find that snap in my legs. Temperatures, lack of riding. It's been about 31 days since my last ride, and that wasn't a hilly one. That was testing my new bike and went to Knutsford. So here's me today, 31 days not on a bike, decided to go up one of the most iconic climbs in the Peak District, asking for trouble. But do I care? What's the best way to wake up dormant muscles? Throw them up one of the challenging climbs there is, close to where I live. Now we're moving 28 miles an hour. There might still be a road closure down here because a year ago in January 2025 they had a bit of a road collapse. And it's been closed for 12 months because they had a big chunk of the road come away. Just down here now. So I can see where they're repairing it. Hopefully they've kept the pedestrian and bike bridge that goes around the repairs open. I'm sure we'll find out. Well, we've just gone down there at 30 miles an hour. so it's a big repair job. So what they've done is, to get round, you have to go off the road, over a bridge and back up. You alright? There we go, temporary bridge. Oh, why have they put the middle bits on? Ah, here we go. Oh my god. I had my bike in sport mode, only touched the pedal slightly and it shut off. Yep, well, this white bike's not going to be white when I get home. But one thing I did do, I think before last time it went out, it had a ceramic coat. Not a permanent one. It's Auto Glim, the car company, rapid ceramic spray. I find if you spray that on, buff it off, when it comes to you getting home and your bike's mucky, you wipe it down with an old towel and everything just literally falls off. Then I wipe over the bike with these wet wipes. Looks like the world's biggest pack of baby wipes, but they're called garage wipes. They're also made for bikes. It's got a picture of a bike on it as well. And I've been using them for a couple of years. I've just ordered another pack. They're off Amazon. Brilliant they are. And I wipe over the whole frame with that. And the wipes are that big. We're talking like that. I actually rip one in half. I only use half for one per bike.
0.1 miles left on Macclesfield Road.
Then I get a microfiber cloth, wipe over the chain, which is wax, by the way, and that just wipes off any bits of debris. And if needs be, a little bit of drip wax, Silka Super Secret. Just put a single drip on each link, on each roller. Leave it for a day or two to cure, and it's like new.
200 feet there left on Macclesfield Road.
My battery consumption today, I've got to admit, surprisingly bad. Although I am asking a lot of the battery in terms of motor maps that I've chose and the amount of sport and turbo that I've used. But it's cold. I've not been on the bike for quite some time. And if you're riding a 17 kilo bike, it's your first ride in a month, and you're going up Peak District hills, why not put it into sport? If the road starts going, what am I on now? 6%, I'm in sport. When it goes to 10, 11, 12, why not stick it into turbo? It's what you buy the bikes for. My word. I'm literally cycling up a river here. I've got a feeling my rear wheel could have done with a bit more PSI. Front one, I don't want it that high. Not in an aluminium frame, not without front suspension like Future Shock. And in a couple of months, I'm actually going to upgrade these tyres from these stock Pathfinder Sport, I think they're called, the 38C. So I'm actually going to upgrade them to the Pathfinder Pro 42C, which is 4mm wider. But believe it or not, I think they're foldable as well. These are beaded. they're actually lighter in weight. They've got more supple carcass. They've got double the TPI, the threads per inch. And there will actually be a wider tyre which will offer more comfort. Not like this bike's not comfy anyway, but I'm talking if you go on a bit of light gravel. I'm thinking Monsell Trail, High Peak Trail. Why not? It's a touring bike at the end of the day. Bit more comfort, but actually you will shed weight off the bike with lighter tyres, even though they're wider, and they're actually faster rolling. I'm going to wait for them to be on sale. They're about 45 quid a tyre. I'm not paying that. According to Price Checker, they can go as low as 29 quid each. I'll snap them up then. And when I do that, I'm going to take out the butyl tubes. And in tyres like this, they could weigh anything north of 220, 230 grams each. And I'm going to put some TPU tubes in. The ones with metal valves, 45 grams each. So that's 90 grams for the pair. And when you compare that, I'm guessing roughly about 450 grams for these. You're saving 350 grams on the tubes alone. With the tyres, you could be looking at half a kilo off the bike. And then the ultimate upgrade is a new group set 12 speed. Take it easy. Can't wait to see that generated in AI. You have to stop, you have to. Oh, come on. Oh, I just lost all my momentum. Oh, well. You soon get it back up, come on. It's all part of the fun. In a minute, there's a section where I can stand up. I want to see how much power I've got in my legs. Here we go, 3-second average. If I can still push 600 watts, even for a couple of seconds, my summer best is 780 on this bike. But I found the power meter on this underestimates compared to my other bike with a proper power meter. But I've got to admit, I do find it easier to put the power down on this bike with the higher stack and the wider handlebars. Now let's see what I can do. Oh, I've got like a Climb Pro, I can't see my screen. Well, it's definitely a decent climb if Climb Pro's flagged it. When I sat back down then I saw it's at 14%. Whew. But yeah, I've got quite a few climbs on that list today. Why did I do this? Yeah, I put down 609 max today. My average is 172. I'm doing like 260, 270 up here. Says my battery's 53%. Is it? I'm guessing that's the internal, because I've got 6 bars. But that's not calculating the internal, external battery too, which is on 3 bars. So I've got anywhere between 70 and 80. Everyone gets water delivered here. Maybe there's a problem with the water. The water company give them some water. I'm seated, putting out 306, 312 watts. And yeah, there's water been delivered everywhere. I thought it's not a coincidence, everyone's got water delivered. Okay. It's nearly 3 o'clock, I'm having a banana. I've not eaten today. Not very wise. I'm going to get a snack in Macclesfield and a hot drink before I head home. Oh, I missed this. left. Alright, I see. Excuse me. I can just from the right see the hills that I was up earlier. Oh my goodness, I'll have to give this bike a good wipe down when I get home. I was up in them hills earlier and beyond. It's the only reason I ride electrical bikes. Hey, oh, why is my front disc brake rubbing? Oh, I did go through water. Maybe it was a bit of grit. It's probably just a bit of grit. Yeah, it's gone now. Could have just been a little bit of a stone flicked up. I just tapped my brake a couple of times and noise is gone. One thing I have been surprised about is how much quicker your e-bike battery goes down compared to the summer and autumn. I mean, what temperature are we on? 6 degrees? But we're probably up in the peaks. My goodness me, they're noisy. Up in the peaks, there's probably a chill factor of probably took it down. It felt like 3 degrees maybe. But anyway. The electrolytes in your lithium-ion battery can become sluggish at cold temperatures and you can lose anywhere up to 20% efficiency. Trying to read a WhatsApp message on my Garmin. I'm gonna have to pull over and read it. The next safe possible place. Yeah, it's cold, but I've actually forgot I had it actually. I've got a Finsulate skull cap, whatever you call it, helmet liner. Normally I wear a Fin Summer one, and that normally does me for spring, summer and autumn. This one, I forgot I had it. Spotted it the other day. I'm gonna pull over. At the beginning of this ride, one of the things that I mentioned, after I upgrade the inner tubes and tyres in the spring, once I sell my Ribble, one thing I really would like to do for this bike is take the 10-speed Dior group set off and put the 12-speed XT. I'd go from an 1142 to an 1150 or 51. So, yeah, it sounds like them 12 gears are spread much further between 11 and 50. But actually, Only the biggest gear is 50 or 51. The one after that is 42, same as this. But then you actually have more gears in the middle of the cassette. And that's one thing I really don't like about this bike. It's nothing to do with a lack of a climbing gear. It's the jumps between gears. When your cadence is creeping up to 95 and you're thinking, change gear. And on a road bike, that will take your cadence from 95 down to, say, 90, 88. I'll show you on this now. So my cadence now is 79. I change a gear and it's gone to 65. So I'm at 65 now. I change to the next one. 58. It changes your cadence too much. And some of the jumps between the other gears are even bigger than that. So what it means is you're cycling, you can think to yourself, right, going slightly downhill or on the flat, and you think this gear feels a bit easy. You can change to a harder one and all of a sudden you're like, oh, geez, I'm grinding, I don't like that. So you end up changing back. Never get that on any of my road bikes. Not on the Tiagra. Not on the Tiagra 2x10. I don't get that. And most certainly on my new bike, 2x12, you don't get that whatsoever. Every gear change is close. The further down the cassette, you on one tooth jumps, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Then it starts skipping by 2, 17, 19, 21. It's so smooth. Your cadence is always perfect. Flying now on the way home. I think I've got a tailwind. Big heavy bike like this, and I've been cycling it above the cut-off speed. Well, 16.4 I'm doing here, 16.6. I know what the difference is. I stopped and had a bite to eat in Macclesfield. A cappuccino, ginger shot, bit of fruit. Because I didn't have breakfast. It got to lunchtime as I was leaving my house, so I ate a banana just before I was leaving, so at least I had something in my system. Garmin said I should have done it right, but I didn't want to go through Heel Green and Hamforth. Too many traffic lights, too much traffic. Might be quicker on paper, But in my experience, sometimes the shortest route isn't always the quickest. Excuse my sniffles. I cannot cycle or walk in cold weather without my nose dripping like a tap. I have that many allergies. I have a dripping nose all summer too, but not this bad. Shocking that. Went in the outside lane to overtake me, that coach, and then cut in to my lane at the corner to go left instead of waiting behind me. You'd think to drive a coach you'd have some sort of advanced driving license compared to the average car driver to know better. Oh, I'm getting thirsty. Electrolytes. Even in cold weather, you should have your salts. I mean, I've gone from 12 degrees to 7 since the beginning of the ride. We're starting to lose the light slowly. I'm alright. The bike's got 2 lights, front and back, but then I've also got a flashing light at the front. The Bontrager Ion Flare on the back with its unique strobe pattern. I've also got a light on the back of my helmet if I want to put that on. I'd love to hear a driver of a car say they couldn't see me, when effectively I could have 5 lights on, lit up like Christmas tree. I might got them light up spooky things. I'm surprised no one's done a bike with glow-in-the-dark paint. Cycle all day in the sun. Then when it goes dark, the whole bike glows. That's what I would do. Welcome to Style Village. got a weird glitch here today. I can't seem to pause or turn the volume up and down via the stem on the bleak up glasses. It was fine when I left the house. I don't know. Could be the cold. I've not got wear protection, wear detection on. I don't think so, at least. Zooming along on the 17 kilo e-bike, 18.5 miles an hour above the cut-off speed. Takes some leg power. Very slightly downhill, minus 0.1. But trust me, getting this up to 18 miles an hour, it's more hard work than getting the road bike up to 23. Nearly 31 miles in, 2,200 feet of climbing. 2 hours 7 minutes moving time. 14.5 miles average. Nowhere near my summer average. But after 31 days off the bike, I feel like I've had a good workout. Certainly woken my muscles back up anyway. It would kickstart my metabolism. Definitely going to need to top the bike up. Secret here now, when you get home, I'm going to give the bike at least, I'm actually going to give it about 90 minutes before going near it with a charger and top it up to about 50%. Range extender has 3 bars on it on the top. I normally charge that until the second one's lit and then unplug. And then that goes in my wardrobe, the range extender, in my bedroom, and a steady temperature. Bike will need a quick wipe down when I get in. It's peppered with splashes of the muck, but just before I left, quick spritz of true tension silicone spritz. Puts a nice protective layer on the bike. I start off with an old tea towel, wipe all the muck off gently, and then a garage wipe to get the bike spotless basically. It's extremely rare with that setup that I ever have to get a bucket and sponge near these bikes. Don't need to degrease the chain because it's wax. Only boiling water over the chain, bottom of the chain. It's cold, but heated socks, heated gloves, Finsulate hat liner and a snood round my neck. So, other than the tip of my nose, I'm actually very clammy. Especially with waterproofs on. I'm doing nearly 18 miles an hour here, way above the cutoff. As long as you're putting constant pressure on the pedals, smooth pedaling style and cadence, I can maintain this bike on flats at these speeds. I've still got 4 bars of the internal, 2 bars of the external battery, anywhere between 50 and 60%. But I don't want to sit around at 15 miles an hour, leaning on the motor. I want to get home before it gets dark. You're on camera. MC23 ERK. What's up with this? Here we go. Right, well, a couple of white van drivers who don't know how to drive a side. That was a good ride. Fancy deciding to change lane without checking your mirror and nearly driving into my arm. They'll have a surprise when they report that video to Greater Manchester Police. Right, that's me, 33 miles in. Can't even read this. 14.5 miles an hour average. Not bad. Not bad. Could be better. Anyway, till the next time.